Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, and my regular co-host, Ellen, is not with me here today because we have a special guest, Nick Christensen from the Erie County Health Department. And when Nick starts to talk, I'm going to let him introduce himself and his title and what his role is. But he's going to talk to us about mosquitoes and the impact that they have on us in the community, but also primarily in our yard and in our garden. So, Nick, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, please, and welcome.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me, Mike. My name is Nick Christensen. I work for the Erie County Department of Health, and my title is Disease Vector Control Technician, centralized around mosquitoes.
Oh, that's wonderful. And are we seeing more mosquitoes this year? Kind of seems that
We
way.
are seeing a little bit more mosquitoes this year. You know, as the summer progresses, we're getting more rainfall. The temperature kind of rises a little bit, gets a little bit more humid. We have more water laying on the ground. Mosquitoes need water in order to lay eggs. So you add heat, you add water, you're going to get a little bit more mosquitoes. Last year, kind of had a dry spell. Same with the year before. That typically keeps the numbers down for the mosquito populations. So that's why this year you're seeing a little bit more.
Okay. And why do we need to be concerned about mosquitoes? Is there some kind of health problems here?
Yeah, so mosquitoes are a vector for transmitting a West Nile virus mainly. That's our main concern with our program. Um, so yeah.
Okay, so I mean, West Nile virus doesn't seem to be something that we should be concerned about here in Erie. How do these mosquitoes come across this West Nile virus?
Yeah, so mainly what happens is that birds migrate throughout the world, and birds have diseases just as humans have diseases. The main vector for the mosquito to actually obtain the virus is through feasting on a bird. You know,
Okay,
a blue jay or a crow that you have in your backyard may be positive for the virus. A mosquito goes up, has its meal, and then that mosquito flies around your property and can transmit it to you. So
okay, very good. And what might be some of the symptoms of West Nile virus if a human actually becomes infected?
yeah, so typically West Nile, like roughly 80% of the people that get bit by a mosquito with West Nile will have very minimal to no symptoms at all. Um, right around 20% experience something that's called West Nile fever, which is just like a low grade flu in a sense. You may experience some nausea, some headaches, some mild body aches. And then that, like just under 1% can experience West Nile encephalitis, which is swelling of the brain. So, um, what happens is that you'll experience very bad headaches, bad aches and pains, nausea. You can experience confusion, dizziness, seizures if it gets very extreme. So those are just kind of some of the symptoms. But like I said, roughly 80% of the people that come in contact with it tend to have zero to few symptoms.
Okay, but if you do become symptomatic, obviously it's a good idea to seek some medical assistance, correct?
Oh yes, for sure,
Right.
for sure.
Now, we want to talk about how people might protect themselves. But before we even get to that, you talked about these wet areas. So gardeners, we use water all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Hmm.
but so little containers of water around the yard can be quite hazardous, right? They can be a perfect nesting site for some of these mosquitoes.
That's correct. Yes. So typically a mosquito will lay its eggs in like a shallow pool, a little swampy area. Um, you know, my partner has seen caught mosquito larvae in something as small as a Gatorade cap. So it's not like they need a whole pond in order to um, breed in.
Okay.
So some way to protect yourself would be to minimize any sort of standing water that you have around your property.
Okay. That's
Like if you have a bird bath, you may want to change the water regularly. If you have a garden pail or a water bucket or anything like that. After you're done using it, dump the water out, store it in a safe, dry place, or if you need to leave it outside, just turn it over so that you don't have that water standing.
Okay, very good. And from the time period from a mosquito laying an egg to that larva actually hatching and becoming adult, capable of
Mm-hmm.
biting people, what's that period of time?
Like roughly about a week, and these mosquitoes, they can lay eggs anywhere, and the eggs, if they don't have water, will just lay dormant until the next rain spell comes along. And then as soon as they get that like little puddle mixed with some heat, the gestation period happens pretty quickly.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like within a week roughly.
Okay, very good. So, what about a lotion or whatever, or a that you might be able to put on your skin and or your clothes to protect yourself?
Yes, so a good defense, other than wearing like a long sleeve shirt or jeans or work pants while you're working outside in your garden, you want to minimize skin exposure as best as you can. But like as I said, we're getting into late August and we're getting into the upper 80-degree temperatures with humidity. That's not always possible. So what you want to do is use a bug repellent with some DEET in it. I think the highest on the market is roughly 30%. And that's the active ingredient in the bug spray that'll deter the bugs the most.
Okay.
Um, Another thing that you can use that I prefer, just because it minimizes the smell coming off, is mosquito wipes. It's just like a baby wipe that you can wipe on you. I think that they work the same, at least in my experience, and it minimizes that um, bug spray feel that you get.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, Nick, we got about a minute left. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
could you kind of give us some idea of what maybe the health department is doing to help control mosquitoes in the community?
Yeah, so pretty much all across Erie County, my job is that I go out and I set mosquito traps, and all that is it's some smelly water that the mosquitoes find attractive, and then I have pretty much a little vacuum cleaner over top of the smelly water that they go to land their eggs, and because they're not really strong flyers, they get sucked up into the vacuum. And then what I do after that is that I'll process them. I'll take them back to my office. I'll put them on dry ice so that they're dead, and then we put them in little vials and send them to the lab. And the lab in Harrisburg, the state lab, tests the mosquitoes to see if we have a pool um, that's infected with the West Nile virus.
Okay, now, occasionally we see on the TV the health department actually spraying.
Mm-hmm.
How, does the individuals in the community need to be concerned about what is being sprayed?
Um, so the only people that need to be concerned, which we have a list, is the hypersensitive people. Everything else is okay. It won't react with humans, but the hypersensitive people, the people that have really sensitive allergies, they're put on a list. And every year, if we need to spray, we contact those people before we do, or we just don't spray around them and then provide them with information on how to safely protect themselves from mosquitoes.
Okay. Well, Nick, I think we've used up our time for this particular session. I certainly appreciate you taking your time to visit us and giving us some good information here. So, reminding gardeners to be careful. You don't have to be, overly cautious, but you certainly need to protect yourself when it comes to mosquitoes. So, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that, Nick, and good luck in grad school now. Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you. Now. Okay. Fine.
Yep.
Bye bye.